is Sean Spencer, and welcome to the conference involving the allegations against Lloyd Monchow. Dana White and Lloyd are here to speak. First, we will have the president of the UFC, Dana White. And we also have Lloyd Monchow here to give a statement. We're going to start with Dana White with his opening statement, and then we'll follow it up with some questions. And I'm going to turn it over to Dana.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to apologize on behalf of the UFC for the negative shadow cast upon the entire organization by Lloyd Monchow this past Monday. Although it's a violent sport, we do not promote and will not allow for violence to spread outside the octagon. Depending on the outcome of the legal proceedings, Lloyd's punishment will include fines and possible suspension for his December 23rd fight. As president and owner of the UFC, I take full responsibility for all the fighters and their actions inside and outside the octagon. These actions will not be tolerated within the UFC. All athletes are expected to present themselves in the highest of standards at all times. I'm now going to turn it over for Lloyd Monchow.
Thank you. I realized when I entered the UFC what I was getting myself into. The actions I showed on Monday don't portray me as a person or my involvement in the UFC. I understand the severity of the situation, and I'm going to be in full cooperation with the investigation and will accept any punishment that is put on me. Lastly, I want to apologize to my organization, my family, my friends, and all my fans for what I did.
We will now open up for questions. Questions will be answered one at a time. We have John Shingari down there, and he will be orchestrating the questions.
Did you take the first question right here?
What can you tell us as far as who started the fight, as well as details?
Well, I take full responsibility for the fight. As a professional athlete, I need to care of myself and make better judgment in those kind of situations. It started, I was just defending what I thought was right, but in a high tension situation like that, I need to do a little bit different.
Next question. I'll go right here.
Being a UFC fighter, did the fact that the sport is so violent play a factor in either your temper or the reason that you got in the fight?
No, the UFC is a violent sport, I agree with that, but we make sure every fighter knows that what happens in the octagon stays in the octagon and doesn't leak in to the outside world and to innocent people. Outside the octagon, we expect all fighters to act with class and professionalism to portray the high standards I hold all fighters by.
Lloyd,
We'll go right here. Back.
okay. Lloyd, did you do the right thing in your opinion? Is that something that you felt was, looking back on it, was it the right thing, or were you being more defensive? Were you being aggressive in that situation? What was going on?
I didn't handle it completely right. In the beginning, it was just defense. I felt that he was a little bit disrespectful towards me and my girlfriend, but after that, things kind of got a little out of hand and I acted inappropriately. There's no way it should have gotten to that point. And I do regret what happened after that.
Please, one at a time. We'll go right there.
Lloyd, rumor has it that your girlfriend was by your side during the incident. How big of a role did she play in this incident? And was the altercation between you and another person? Was it involved more than one person?
Yeah, she was there, but it was just me and her. The only involvement she had was initially getting knocked into spilling his drink. That's it. She didn't play a part in anything that happened afterwards. That wasn't her.
We'll go on the way back.
Lloyd, how do you expect to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, I'm going to be working within the organization. Like when I got into the UFC, we all get trained on how to handle these situations. I'm going to go through further training. I'm going to work with Dana on pretty much recovering with what happened.
All right, next question. We'll go right here.
How have you been handling the situation personally? Is it having a negative effect on your personal life as well as professional?
I mean, it's definitely going to affect my reputation inside and outside of the octagon. But what's done is done, and I can only go from here.
Right in the middle.
How did alcohol play a role in this incident? Would the outcome have been different if alcohol was not a factor?
Personally, I don't think alcohol is a factor at all. We'd only been there for 20, 25 minutes. So the fact that alcohol played a part, I don't think would really matter. We weren't out there to party. It was just supposed to be a quiet night with me and her until the incident occurred.
Time for a few more, right here.
What's, in the video that's gone through YouTube, there was a fight. The individual was laying on the ground. Was he unconscious? What's his status now? Do you know anything about that?
I can take that. He'll be okay. He a little swollen, a few cuts and scrapes from falling on the ground, but he was conscious though. From when he got hit, he fell to the ground. He'll be okay. We've talked to him. He's remorseful. I mean, he knows the incident was partially his fault, and we feel bad.
So there's been no issue of potential lawsuits or anything that you have just,
It's not so far.
okay.
All right, time for a few more, probably one or two more, right here.
Lloyd, did you suffer any injuries last night?
On Monday night, no, except for the hit. What happened? But no physical, no.
All right, one more question right here.
How will the situation, all the negative media attention affect your next fight?
We're waiting for everything to play out before we make any decisions. If worst comes to worst, we'll look for a new fighter to fill Lloyd's spot on December 23rd. Although this is a negative situation, excuse me, the media attention will not affect Lloyd's next fight. We're going to wait for all the legal proceedings and anything regarding that before we make a decision for Lloyd.
Okay, that concludes the conference. Thank you all for coming, and please pick up a quote sheet on your way out the door. Thank you.